Hello, and welcome back to And Then We Fought a Dragon.
And then we fought a dragon.
Every time I say it out loud in my head, I automatically want to be like, and then we trained a dragon. Yes, I am on the Isle of
Good
Birth.
reference.
Not quite. It would be great to be immersed in the
Yeah.
whole world of How to Train Your Dragon, but that is not the case.
That would be a good D&D campaign, actually.
Oh, that is one I could get behind. I would literally volunteer. I'm first up. I am ready to go. I would love that. So yeah, we're going to, as with our other episodes, Rebecca's going to give a recap of what happened this week during the campaign, the session. And then I'll give a little breakdown, feedback, sort of thing of what I interpreted, what stands out to me, my favorite parts, and we'll have a discussion about it. I'm going to start by just giving like the highlights from last week, which I've observed are pretty, I don't know, like not elusive, but really,
that does feel like a good word. Yeah.
Like this, just all the other times there was pretty specific things that happened, but these just feel like words. But anyways, we'll jump into it. Also, I'm Desiree.
Oh yeah, I'm Becky.
And here we are. Sorry for forgetting to introduce ourselves. I just assume everybody knows who I am.
Absolutely.
Not the case. Literally, I am the most like unknown person. I don't exist, but all of a sudden, I'm the most famous person in the world.
Yeah.
Moving on, here we are. So, last week, there was an elf intrusion.
Yep.
Pretty key point. Hyperdrive safety guaranteed, which was a positive because there was potential of that not being the case.
Yeah, spell scroll worked.
Blood IDs.
Yeah, that was weird.
A trial at sundown. Not a trial at sundown happened, but there will be a trial at sundown. And then it was all a lie. Everything was a lie.
So sad.
So yeah, we're gonna find out what happened. I'm anticipating. I remember we touched on how I wanted there to be bad guys, particularly Selwen's mom to be bad guy, but that was not what you were anticipating. So let's see.
I think it would be pretty sad, but we'll see. We'll see. This was a bit of a weird session just for me personally, because in my personal life, my cat is in the emergency hospital right now, and so I was rather distracted through most of this session, but it was still fun, and I did still get some notes, so hopefully it's enough for us to still get the general idea of what's going on. Yes. The other cat has emerged as well. I'm keeping my door open, as you may be able to tell if you're watching the video, to allow my loner cat, whose brother is in the hospital, to join me, but he will be very well behaved, so all is good.
Please send good vibes to Flynn.
Yes, please. We want him to get better and come home. But to start with, you may remember from last session, we arrived in El Eleanor, the High Elven city, and as we were walking through town, we picked up some newspapers that had a picture of Selwen's mom on them, because she has been kidnapped, and we're here to try and figure out what's going on with that and find or rescue or whatever to her. And our DM put together a little clipping of the news article with the actual information. So I'm going to read that for you because some of it is relevant information that might be useful.
That's really awesome. I really like all the
cool.
I like all the little extra bits. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're extra, but they seem extra to me.
Like immersive bits.
Yeah, in the best way possible.
Yeah. So the headline was, "Former healer to be tried for crimes against the crown. Trial to be held tomorrow at sundown." And then the article reads, "Former royal healer Calthea has finally been apprehended after many years of running from the Elelorian exterior security team. The EST, after following a false lead for a few years after healer Calthea escaped from the city, has been quietly waiting and establishing new branches in new cities in order to keep from losing any more daring criminals of El Alenor. Trackers were helped out greatly about 2 weeks ago by the appearance of healer Calthea's daughter in the town of Corintha, after which it was assumed that Calthea would probably be somewhere in the surrounding area. The search was quickly renewed, and after a week of searching the towns and communities in close proximity of Corintha, the criminal was located and arrested after a brief fight. She was immediately teleported back to El Alenor under the watchful eye of our courageous exterior security team. Calthea is currently being held in the El Alenor Royal Prison, renowned for holding some of the most dangerous criminals of the city. A trial will be held tomorrow night where healer Calthea will face the charges of attempted murder of King Ferrith and Queen Vashti. So that was the article.
That feels like really passive aggressive.
The elves are super passive aggressive. Our DM has joked that she has created every single elf we interact with in El Alenor so that we will hate them. She wants us to hate everybody.
Oh my gosh. It was like, this is absolutely your fault, daughter of
Right?
this.
As soon as I read it, I was like, oh no.
Gosh.
Selwen. So yeah, we have now in character read this article, and attempted murder is the charge that she has been charged with, obviously. And as we picked up our session on Monday, we were still in the Church of Eldath with a friend of Selwen and her mom's, Tanil, who was a priestess of Eldath. And she was had just revealed to us that Selwen's mom wasn't actually the court healer. She was secretly the court illusionist. And that was a big, whoa moment. Everything is a lie, etc. Yeah. And Tanil only knew this because she was kind of like a friend of Selwen and her mom, like as much as Selwen's mom has friends, not telling anyone anything about her ever. But she explained to us that as the court illusionist, Selwen's mom, Calthea, mostly seemed to do cosmetic illusions, which seemed to mean like hiding defects or almost presenting a front for the king and the queen so that they could present the image of themselves that they wanted to present rather than necessarily what? Plastic surgeon. She's a magic plastic surgeon.
I think every time we get on the topic of what an illusionist is, it like has snowballed into something else. But at the same time, as much as it's getting like bigger, it's like not that it's necessarily not a valid thing, but the task seems to be less and less important.
Right? It's like, why would they need that? So that seemed weird. We're like, okay, seems odd. They would need an illusionist to keep up appearances kind of thing. And also like, what's going on underneath appearances if they have an illusionist to make them look pretty? Like, what's with them?
My immediate thought was like the king from Lord of the Rings, where you're like, oh, this is awkward. He's so ugly.
Like King Theoden when he's under the spell?
Don't ask me the names, but sure, yes.
Yeah, maybe that's what they look like underneath. We don't know. But yeah, appearance is everything when you're royalty. So you need to have your court plastic surgeon / illusionist. And Tanil doesn't really know the situation, like the attempted murder that happened. She doesn't really know anything about that. She doesn't know why Selwen and her mom left so suddenly when Selwen was a kid. And so she's a bit confused as well, which is kind of reassuring, I guess, in a way. And Selwen asked who else in town might kind of be friendly to her and her mom rather than like a risk of getting Selwen arrested or something. And Tanil wasn't really sure because, again, Selwen's mom didn't really have any friends, but she herself knows one of the royal guards who's a member of the Church of Eldath. And she thought she could get in touch with him and he might be able to help us get into the prison where Selwen's mom is, kind of thing. So that seemed like it could be a good lead. Selwen decided to try casting the spell Sending, which lets her like telepathically send a message to somebody to try and get in touch with her mom. And the spell was a lot more difficult than it usually is. to kind of send through and cast, but she did manage to successfully cast it. But it allows the person you're contacting to send you a message back, and that message didn't come back properly. She only got a few words from that. She got unjust, blackmail, and experiment, and that's all that came through of the response.
Vague.
And also a little sketch.
Yeah.
So we decided we should make our way to the prison and check some stuff out. The High Court and the Royal Prison are both on the palace grounds. It's kind of like big courtyards with lots of different little things going on in there. And Ava suggested, like, can we just go visit Selwen's mom? Like, are visitation rights for prisoners a thing? Mm-hmm. And Tanil figured, yeah, a supervised visit would probably be possible if you ask. So we decided we would contact her friend at the guard, and she sent him a message that we'd meet him there, and we headed off to the prison to try and arrange a meeting of some kind. And Tanil also offered us rooms in the church for the night, should we need them, so that's helpful. And we headed off to the prison. And as we approached, there was like an ornate arched kind of entranceway. It wasn't gated or closed, like visitors are definitely allowed in on the palace grounds. They like tourists and stuff, so it was okay to go in. But there were 2 guards who asked to see our blood IDs and make sure that we were allowed to be in the area. And Selwen's disguise self spell wasn't still up at this point, but again, her picture does technically look like her, and the fake name was enough to get her through. They didn't ask any questions.
Yeah.
So that was good. And as we approached the prison, we saw an elf come out a side door and like start walking quite quickly to the entrance of the prison as well. But then as he noticed us, he came towards us, and this was Tanil's friend. His name is, I think, Shurian. We were debating a lot about how to pronounce his name. It was pronounced differently almost every time it was said. We're going with Shurian.
That's a good name.
Yeah, good name. And we asked him if he'd be able to get us into the prison. And he was pretty sure he could. And at that point, like, we were kind of being a little hush-hush about what our intentions with getting into the prison were. Mm-hmm. And so I asked Selwen, like, again, if visitation is allowed, is it a big deal if people know why we're here and, like, who you are, sort of thing? And I guess you overheard this a bit. I hadn't really thought about this, but he seems like a trustworthy guy. And he put together who she is. He's like, oh, you're Caelynn's daughter. Yeah, you look like her. Okay, I got it. And he doesn't have high enough clearance to allow that himself, but he could get us in, and he was pretty sure, like, if he talked to his boss, he could probably get Selwen a visit. It would probably just be her and a supervised visit. But we're like, hey, that's better than nothing kind of thing. We don't really want to break into the prison quite yet. We'd rather save that for later on if we're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he brought us into the lobby and went to go talk to his boss. And as he did, he activated this like glowing kind of runic circle on the wall. And a little minor illusion spell appeared, and an automated tour guide popped up and started telling us all these facts about the prison and the prisoners who'd been there. That was a little bit amusing.
It's just all about appearances, isn't it?
Totally. They really want everything to look good and cater to those tourists, I suppose.
At least it's interactive, right?
It was kind of cool. I thought it was fun. And the prison is kind of like a main floor, and then everything else is below ground. So he was off in the office, and then he came back with his boss, who had approved that Selwen could go visit her mom. It would be on her own, supervised by one of the guards. And so Selwen went off into the back with them. And obviously, because I was there, I don't know what happened where she was, because I was staying behind, kind of thing. But as she left, we decided we would case the joint in case we needed to do a prison break later. So we kind of split up amongst the little, like, they had a mock prison cells set up, and like little rooms that had kind of interactive stuff in this area where tourists are allowed to be. So we split up a bit. Caelynn was going to look for some potential trouble points there might be and see if he could pick up on guard rotation patterns. Ava was going to go try and just like chat with a guard and be charismatic, which was pretty successful, I think, actually. She put a scarf over her head and called herself a babushka. So that was fun. And Quinn just kind of hung out outside the guard's office, just eavesdropping on any conversation she could hear. And Caelynn, I decided to look for kind of security system type stuff. Like, obviously that's not the word in a magic world, but basically security system stuff, any traps that could trigger with trying to escape on like doors and windows and things like that. So as I was looking around, I noticed some black orbs kind of like half put in the wall, and they seem to be basically magic security cameras.
Oh.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, they don't do video, they're more like still image snaps. So that could be handy if we need to use some blind spots. But there were also arcane locks on the windows and the doors with like cords running up to the ceiling or running down the frame into the floor, and some runes around the keyholes. And they looked like a simplified version of the Arcane Locks spell, but it's set to partner with a key. So it's like a simplified version where half of the lock is magic and half of it's actually physical, a key kind of thing. I guess makes it harder to break in a way. Two things rather than one.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Two-step authentication.
Yeah. Two-step authentication. It is weird for it. And we had about 10 or 15 minutes while Selwen was down in the bowels of the prison. And then she came back up with a warden who seemed to be in a big rush. He kicked everyone out. He was like, visiting is over. Everyone needs to leave. Everyone needs to get off palace grounds. It's done. We're closed for the day. Goodbye. And so it was kind of abrupt. And Selwen left immediately. She kind of grabbed Quinn as she was going and just left kind of without acknowledging the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And walked as if she was going to leave the palace grounds, and then kind of off to the side and just sort of hid. And I was like watching her, so I saw her do this. Obviously she was doing it a little sneaky so that no one would see her do it, but I kind of followed and also sneakily went.
So she didn't even want you guys to see?
I think her focus was that the guards wouldn't see. Okay. But she was just trusting we would figure it out, I think. So we did all gather back together behind a building. We didn't leave the grounds like we were supposed to. Everyone else left the grounds as they were told to. And we kind of gathered behind a building where Selwen could tell us what happened. And she said they have magic blockers in the prison, particularly in the cell walls. Her magic couldn't pass through the cell walls, basically. Like, there's reinforcements. She couldn't even put her hand through the bars, sort of thing. There's a barrier there. Mm-hmm. And her mom had managed to get a sending spell out to her. This is why Selwen's sending spell earlier was so difficult to get in, because she's pushing through this magical barrier. So this time her mom managed to get one out to her, because obviously it was a supervised visit, so you can only say so much out loud. Yeah. And she mentioned that there's a change of location happening, and something about an experiment that, like, Selwen seemed to be under the impression was going to be on her mom. And there's a laboratory of some kind. And after the trial, her mom is going to be brought to this undisclosed location. And then Quinn, kind of picking up on a few of these points, told us that while she was eavesdropping, she heard Sharian? Sharian. No, I forgot his name already. I was going to call him Sharon, but I don't think
I think that's his new name.
Sharon. She heard Sharian talking in the guard office with his boss about a relocation team that he wanted to join, but his boss told him there was no positions available at this time, and he was kind of bummed about that or whatever. But she figured maybe Sharian might be willing to share something about the relocation team. Maybe they're the ones moving the prisoners, like Selwen's mom mentioned. And Quinn also overheard something about prisoner 61 is wanted again. And Selwen, as she was leaving her mom, like when the warden was rushing her out, saw a group of guards at one of the cells, seemingly removing a prisoner from his cell. So that might have been prisoner 61, who was wanted again.
Yeah.
As
so not wanted as in at large, but
like needed for something.
On request.
Yeah. Okay. Potentially. And like, obviously, Selwen's mom had said something about this experiment and laboratory and stuff, like maybe something's happening with the prisoners being used for that or whatever. And so at this point, evening is kind of falling and the palace grounds are shutting down for the night. So we kind of needed to stay stealthy and figure out what we were going to be doing there. And Ava and Caelynn figured maybe they could summon their familiars. And if Selwen was able to find a way to use locate object to track this prisoner that was being moved, they could send their familiars after him and
Yeah.
figure out where he was being taken. Because if this is the place Selwyn's mom is going to be moved to after trial, it might be good to know where it is in case we need to go get her. So Selwyn cast locate object on the guy's pants. She had noticed he was wearing particularly ragged pants, and it needs to be like a unique object, right? That she's seen in particular. So she got a ping on it. There was a catch, and she could sense that they were moving, but that they were no longer down on the third level below. They were higher up now, just on the first sub-level, and seemingly had moved beyond the borders of the prison. And so maybe there's some underground tunnels going on. Yeah. So Ava and Caelynn were preparing to send Tulip and Shade off, but all of us were still kind of feeling a little exposed out on the grounds of the palace. And I remembered a spell I haven't got to use yet. It's called Rope Trick. And with it, I can take like a round of rope kind of thing, like 60 feet long or whatever. And the magic spell makes it go straight up in the air. And then we can climb up it, and it creates a little interdimensional pocket at the top that 8 people can hide in. And we can all tuck in there, and then we go invisible, and we can see out a window, but we can pull the rope in, and we're just invisible in this little pocket in the air for 1 hour.
There?
Yeah, it just stays there for 1 hour. We can be in this pocket.
Literally, I need that in real life. Oh my god.
So cool, right? So we all climbed into my little pocket.
What is it called?
It's called a rope trick.
Rope trick? Okay, question about like spells and stuff that you have in your inventory.
Yeah.
So it's all in front of you, right? Obviously, one thing I don't think, if this is the first time you're hearing of any of this, I know nothing about D&D. So it's all like laid out in front of you, right?
Yeah.
All the stuff. Go ahead.
Well, we each have a list of spells of certain levels that we can choose from. So there's level 1 to 9, maybe 10 worth of spells. And each class, I'm a ranger, will have different spells available to them. And as you level up, you can choose a certain number of the spells available to be in your known spells. So there might be like 6 level 1 spells to choose from, but I'm only allowed to pick 3 of them. And so then I have 3 that are available to me.
But out of the levels below, do you still have access to those spells that you had previously?
Yep. So you build your list as you level up. It is a little confusing.
I think this is also going to be a documentation of why Desiree will never play D&D.
The spells are hard to figure out. Like, it took me a while to figure out what was going on with spell levels.
I can't multitask to save my life, so I would just be like literally dying.
Well, spell levels aren't even the same as actual levels.
Aww.
Which makes it even more confusing. They're 2 totally different things. No, and then you have spell slots. So you have all your spells, but the spell slots are how many you can actually cast. So I can cast 4 level 1 spells and 2 level 2 spells right now.
Absolutely not.
But I can do any from my list.
So that's the whole point. Like, that is the objective. That is what you're doing. But I'd be like, hey guys, I'm overwhelmed. There's too many options.
You
so
can do
die.
A non-spellcaster. There's classes with no spells.
But to my understanding, despite whatever, character, class, race, whatever you pick, it's still going to be complicated. There's still things that need to be remembered. So essentially, I'm useless.
Well, you have it all written on a page. Like, I always have my spells written on the side, so I know what I have available to me. But
I don't know if you remember this, but we went to school together.
Yeah.
And I would just be a constant state of, what is going on? Everybody?
That's why the DM is our hero. The DM reminds us what's going on, what we need to do, and answers questions, or we figure it out together.
I think if I was like me and a DM just hanging out, it would be great. It'd be like, all right, I think I want to walk over there. Yeah. That's the version. It's a one-on-one How to Train Your Dragon campaign.
I think that one-on-one campaigns are a thing. So if you find the right DM, they'll do it for you.
That's the only way I can make one other friend.
I'll learn to DM just so I can DM you how to train your dragon campaign.
Essentially, that's what my life is. Essentially, I am playing a campaign, and you are the DM to my life. Okay, well,
oh dear,
we've sidetracked, but I'm glad I kind of understand. I mean, I totally get it. It's not like an absence of understanding. I just feel overwhelmed.
It is complicated. Yeah. And as you play, it gets easier. Obviously, like hearing about it, you can hear about it a bajillion times, but until you're actually doing it, some things just never fully click properly.
Yeah,
but it's fun. As a ranger, I don't have very many spells. Like I'm predominantly fighting mostly than I am spell casting, really. But it's fun to have a few just for kicks.
For sure.
So I cast the rope trick.
Yes, you're in the pocket.
In the pocket, yes. And then Ava and Caelynn sent off their familiars. So Ava has Tulip, who is a little weasel, and Caelynn recently obtained his spider familiar, whose name is Shade. And they went off, right? Yeah.
When I hear that, I think of like a 3-year-old little boy who has like one of those driving trucks. And it's like the kid's name is like probably, I don't know, Nicholas, which is a bit weird. Anyways, side note, that's Rebecca's brother's name. Not that that matters, but his kid's name's like Nicholas, but he's like, call me Shade now. I'm Shade.
I'm a gangster.
Okay, I will stop distracting. Okay, so Shade and Tulip.
Shade and Tulip went off with Selwen directing Ava and Caelynn where to send them based on her little location pings. So the locate object was moving towards the castle, seemingly, and then stopped and began descending. And in the area where it has stopped, there seems to be a gardener's shed. So that's where Tulip and Shade were directed to. And Shade kind of slipped inside. Ava figured Tulip would be too obvious as like a weasel. A spider's a little more sneaky, able to get through. And as he was looking around in there, he could see some sort of like runes in the corner that were glowing. And Selwen's ping at descending, stopped moving, and then the runes stopped glowing. So maybe some kind of connection there.
Yeah.
And then her ping moved forward a few steps and just cut out. It was all gone. There was no more signal. And that's where we left off for the night.
Oh.
So they're somewhere underground. And then we leveled up. So that was fun. We're level 7 now.
Okay, I'm confused. It just hit me. I don't understand the runes part. So, something disappeared in the trajectory of you.
There was some runes on the wall.
On the wall, okay.
Yeah, they were glowing, and then as the ping stopped, they stopped glowing.
Okay. In my head, I was like, hold on, where are the runes? They're just like floating.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so
yeah, they're on a wall.
There's runes on a wall, and the ping stopped, and then that's it. Okay.
So either there's some kind of magical barrier, or they got far enough away. I think locate object is within 1,000 feet, I think. So maybe they just got out of range and Selwen's locate object spell can't pick it up anymore. Or again, the magic barrier just cut it off. There's a stronger barrier down there. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And that's it. Like you don't know nothing.
That's it for the night.
Okay.
Stopped. We're doing a lot of cliffhanger stops these days.
Yeah. That's confusing for me.
It's mysterious.
But I mean, so much happened, but so little happened again.
Yeah. And like obviously again, parts of it Caelynn just wasn't present for.
Yeah.
Like I observed certain things with the conversation with Selwen and her mom, and while Selwen was in the prison, that weren't things that I know. And I just don't write them down when it's things I don't know. So having my brain, I now genuinely don't know them. It's a great hack.
So now on to the recap. I feel like I was kind of caught up, and I didn't write down as much as I could have. But
again, a lot of the stuff was kind of like, what's the word you used earlier?
Don't ask me that.
We've both forgotten it already. Where it's like kind of vague, like it's just alluding to it. So it's hard to write down.
Whatever that word was.
Oops.
Okay, so I guess my recap, my observations.
Niels,
So there was a passive-aggressive article, which I thought was like not, I don't know, though when I use funny so interchangeably, but I didn't think it was funny, but it's like bizarre.
Right.
Passive-aggressive article, found out Selwen's mom is a glorified plastic surgeon, essentially.
Yep.
Oh, the vague words that but were determined from the send spell. Is that just what it's called?
Yeah.
Send spell. You guys did get a mom visit, though.
Mm-hmm.
A prison mom visit is what I wrote. There's a lot of magic involved. Well, lack of magic, essentially.
Yeah.
Magic blockers.
Yeah, they tried, but it wasn't working super good.
Mm-hmm. And then, one thing. The whole time you're talking about doing your like recon, I was just thinking it was the perfect Leverage moment.
Totally. Leverage is a TV show we love very dearly. If you haven't seen it, you should, because it's great and epic too.
See it, just don't talk about it to anybody.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club. We all watch Leverage, but we don't talk about watching Leverage.
I think that's a problem. Nobody watches Leverage. Oh, the world would be a better place if everybody watched Leverage.
And all those like early 2000s special effects, just so rough, some of them, and I love it.
Yeah, when I recommend the show, I say, please don't watch the first and second episode of the first season until you
watch them, but don't judge them.
You cannot watch the first episode first. You can't. It's painful.
Okay, now you know, everybody. Don't watch the first episode first. Come back to it.
But the show is literally immaculate. It's 5 seasons of perfection.
And a reboot apparently going on now, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm really curious about.
But now that we're done standing Leverage, there's a potential change of location and experiment time. But we don't really know what that all means at all.
It seems like some kind of human experiments on prisoners. Or not human, elvish experiments on prisoners. Which seems really not okay.
No, especially with, obviously, they're desperate to hold up appearances. Yeah. They're obviously pretty tied up in presenting themselves a very specific way. So what could this entail?
Yeah, I was wondering if they're like taking something from the prisoners that's then being projected towards maintaining this appearance, like sucking life force, essentially.
Oh,
I hate that. Be something dark.
I literally hate that plot line in anything. Like, I don't know. Have you seen the childhood callback? The Adventures in Odyssey, not like the Adventures in Odyssey movie where there's like a video game.
No.
And they like all these kids are playing video games and it's sucking the life out of them and then going through like this brain thing. Anyways, it was traumatizing as a child. Moving on.
I was thinking of The Princess Bride, where they literally suck away Wesley's life. That was my reference.
But when they suck his life away, it's not transferring to anybody else.
I don't think so, but like maybe that's the next stage in their experiment. Sucking his life force and giving it to someone else. It's dark either way.
That's a good movie. Also, highly recommend, but obviously everyone has seen that.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. Prisoner 61. Yeah. Some intrigue there.
Mm-hmm.
They're being requested or wanted.
Yeah.
Then you go into the pocket, which I love.
It was so fun to be able to use that spell. I've been waiting for a chance to use it.
Yeah, it's great. I think in life that would be nice. And I particularly like, the going up a rope above everything, not even having to...
in midair.
Yeah, because there's no risk for being in the way. There's no risk for literally anything. You are hovering.
But if you lose track of time and the hour time's up, you just fall out of it.
I mean, you
and
win
it's
some, you
60
lose
feet
some.
up. So keep track of time.
Break a leg here and there, whatever.
No bigger.
60 feet's pretty stinking high. You might die.
I mean, maybe I don't have to put it the full height. I guess maybe I can determine how high it goes.
You're just like 4 feet in the air. This is enough.
Just like sit in it. You don't even have to climb the rope. You just crawl in. I wonder if people could like physically interact with it. Like if someone else was walking around and they walked through the space where it technically was, I wonder if they would bump into it, or if because it's like extra dimensional, if they'd be able to just like cross through it.
Yeah. Or if it's not full to capacity, they're just
no, they can't enter.
Oh,
because they have to know where the door is to be able to enter. That
very
would be awkward.
You never know. That would be funny though. So you're in the pocket, and then you send off some shad and tulip. Shade? Shad.
It's Chad now. Chad the spider.
No, I was thinking shad, like Shadrach. Anyways. Shade and tulip.
Yeah.
And they found some runes in a shed.
Mm-hmm. Secret elevator, maybe? Secret magic elevator?
Secret tunnel.
We were definitely singing that.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Ping disappeared, so gotta find the ping later. Investigate the shit.
It's a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I mean, or
I'm
it's like an intense climax.
Yeah. I feel like next time a lot's gonna happen. Yeah, because right now there's been 2 episodes of like so much build up.
Yeah.
For what's coming in the next session that like poop's gonna hit the fan, you know, if we again find our way into this elevator and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Ava and Caelynn are desperate to like essentially burn down the city. They are ready for arson, causing a revolution, start a riot.
I just feel like these elves need to be put in their place.
That's their mentality. Yeah.
They're just like pretty vain, pretty kind of irritating. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even though I say that, but that's just even the interactions they haven't actually been that bad.
I know, right?
All the vanity and like the hearsay about their attitude and all this negativity is like from the higher ups, but everyone else actually hasn't been bad at all.
But we're gonna have a prison break anyway.
Yeah,
and
I'm excited for that.
Should be a good time because now in game we have like basically less than 24 hours until the next sundown, which is what the trial is, and then gotta have either acted by then or have a solid plan by then, because we haven't been super good on the planning front so far. We've just been kind of figuring it out as we go.
Oh yeah, right, because last time we determined like you went in without a plan, but you should have had a plan, and so now the lack of plan is devolved into like essentially,
but like how could we have had a plan with no information? Like,
and then the information you did have was all a lie.
Exactly. So it's very intriguing. It will be revealing next session, I think.
For sure.
I'm debating how much to say about my speculations because I think some of them are fed by what I heard out of character. But I feel like Selwen's mom might have participated in the experiments as the illusionist at one point. And that might be something to do with why she left.
Guilty conscience.
So that would be intriguing. Like I don't think she's guilty for the murder necessarily, but I also don't think she's wholly innocent. Which will make you happy, I'm sure. Just a slow smile.
I'm down for that.
We love a little gray morality over there.
literally me. Oh my gosh. I like that. I like the little sprinkle, the tidbit.
Just some flavor.
I mean, I was excited before, but now
I know. I want to get into the laboratory and figure out what's going on, because I'm assuming that's where this elevator has gone, to the laboratory where the experiments are happening. I want to know what it is.
Yeah. What are they doing in there? Well, that was good. I liked it. And these type of sessions, it's, well, I actually don't really feel like I got to know the characters that well, but I got to understand the world better. And I think that, like, last time I felt like I got to know the characters better, and this, I just felt like I got to know the DM better in a really indirect way.
Yeah.
Right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there was all these other characters that were being, I like it. Yeah.
It's kind of fun to be able to interact with some NPCs and whatnot, so.
Yeah.
Our good old Shireen, Sharon,
Them.
Him. Yeah.
Him.
There we go.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah. Shall we roll some dice?
Let's do it.
Okay.
We rolled a green last time, I think, right?
And it was betraying me Monday. It was rolling so badly.
Oh.
Usually it's my good dice. I rolled like several 3s.
Maybe we jinxed it because it rolled so high last time.
So
we'll give it a break.
Purple and teal, pink and green.
Okay, well, I don't remember the consistent order, so we'll give the green a break, and maybe we'll go with the purple and teal.
Okay. Let's give it a go. 13. Lucky number 13. I mean, we haven't got below 10 yet, so I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's better than our real life week is going, right? So we'll go with that.
Oh dear, poor Flynn, poor Flynn.
But yeah, I don't even know. We're very sad about it.
We're very sad. In fact, I'll just rant about it for a moment. On Friday, we discovered that Flynn seemingly had a urinary tract blockage, which, if you have cats, you know can be quite serious quite quickly and can become deadly if not dealt with. So we brought him into the pet emergency, and he was catheterized and whatnot, had to stay for a few days. We picked him up Sunday, and Sunday and Monday he was very much not like himself, and it was not a good time. We were very sad about it, and everyone I called to ask about the symptoms kept saying it was normal. Yeah, my little mommy vibes said it was not normal. And on Tuesday, they were like, yeah, you need to bring him back to emergency. It seems like he's reblocked. So he had reblocked. So yesterday, he went back to emergency, and now he's probably going to be there till Friday, which is very sad. So send all your good vibes to him.
Yes, this is partially an illusion. We, by proxy, Rebecca is not doing well. By proxy,
I'm not.
So not doing well. But thank you for listening. We're gonna focus on, getting through the rest of the week. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, good vibes, thoughts and prayers. That's a little dismissive. Anyways, we're thinking about Flynn. And
Hopefully have a good week yourselves.
Yes. Hopefully next week we'll have better updates, and can't wait to find out what happens. So,
yes.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Now this is a story all about how my D&D parties came about, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you this week's adventure of a Bard and Ranger.